Namaste. Welcome to Yoga with Joe from Himalaya Yoga and Trek. And today we're going to do some flexion. So it'll be forward bending, forward fold. So concentrating on a lot of hip flexibility, noticing what we're feeling in those hip flexors, and a little bit of side lateral bending as well. If you have a block handy or a thick book, that will help. And I'd like to start off in child's pose, but before we do that, let's just bring a moment to open up this space together. Please bring your hands to heart center. Inhale deeply. So, starting off, as I said, in child's pose, and just to bring a bit of groundedness to your practice to start with. And you're welcome. Some people, it's difficult for them to get into child's pose. Perhaps they have back issues, suffer with some back pain and so on. So maybe an alternative for you could be to place a bolster on the belly or on the legs, on the knees, and lean over. So maybe you can place your head on your block. If that's possible for you and that feels better, that could be one alternative. If your bolster is maybe too big and that doesn't feel right, take a blanket. And you can also do this with, if it's uncomfortable, on the ankles or the knees. If the knees are giving you trouble, then maybe you take your blanket and place it between the legs or under the backs of the thighs. And maybe that will be your answer to find that relief if it's in the knees. If it's in the back, as I said earlier, we can always take a rolled up blanket and place that here. So whichever way it is for you. Please just come into that quiet child's pose. Let the hands just relax behind you. Head either on a block, on the ground, whatever it might be for you today. And then just take a moment. Relaxing down, settling in. Taking this time to focus on your breath. Noticing what is here for you today. And just see if you can sit with that and let it be present. Maybe slowing the breath down, taking a deeper inhalation, a longer exhalation. And then take a nice deep inhale, draw yourself up from the hips and allow the head to come last, so chin to chest. Take a nice deep exhale. So this next one, I'd like you please to tuck your toes. And this can be quite intimidating for some people. And just coming up and sitting on the toes. So make sure that that little pinky toe is not being squashed under in this toe stand. And so just coming and sitting with the buttocks onto the heels, with the toes tucked under. And it can be, as I said, a little bit much for some people. And I invite you, in that case, you can always lean forward and just resting the hands on the floor in front of you. And if even that is still too much for you, maybe rock forward a little, taking the pressure off the toes. Or just being here. Now we're going to stay here for a total of 1 minute if you can. Or if you need to rock forward, rock back, taking the pressure off the toes. That's all good. See if you can be here just to feel what that is like for you. If it gets too much, take the hands forward. Maybe this is enough here. Maybe you need to go forward a little more just to take the total pressure off the toes. Maybe you need to, from time to time, tap the toes out. Make your choice, be comfortable. Don't let this be something, gosh, I'm never coming and doing this again. It's too painful. Don't go there. Modify it and make a variation. More breaths. So wherever you are, we're going to take it back onto the feet and then drop the heels down and come up into a standing position. So we're not really doing a full roll up, we're just coming up into a gentle position any way you can, and then come and face center. Take the feet a little hip width apart, hands on the hips, and then just some gentle hip rolls, circles. Wake up the lower back, wake up the hips. 2 more to one side. And then coming forward, let's go the other direction. So noticing how the hips feel for you today. Notice if there's any tightness. There might be some creaking and grinding going on. 1 more. And then come to that stillness. So again, keeping with feet hip width apart, I'm going to ask you to cross your hands over and take hold of the earlobes on either side of the head. Now have a look where your feet are. Let the feet face forward. And as you inhale, you're going to exhale and then go into a little squat. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, down. So crossing the midline. You can go a little bit faster if that's possible for you. Maybe close the eyes. But squeezing gently on each of the earlobes. The crossing over from left and right brain. Let's do 5 more. Come back to center. Release your hands down. Let's shake out the arms. And then just come and stand in Tadasana. So if you would like to have the feet hip width apart, that's your choice, or you can have the feet together. And just closing off the eyes if it feels right for you. And notice the swaying of the body. So with the tailbone dropping down towards the floor, like there's something in your back pockets, like it's drawing you down to the floor, and just closing the eyes gently or focusing on the floor in front of you. And check into the feelings of the body, those interoceptive feelings of swaying from side to side or maybe back and forward. It's a natural feeling. And try not to lose your balance. If you do, please open your eyes. And then come back to center. So this time I'm going to ask you to take your right leg and step forward on your right foot. So 90 degrees in that forward stepping foot. Don't lock the knee out. Have a little micro bend there. And your back foot is going to be about a 35 degrees, like almost like a warrior one. So from here, I'm going to ask you please to gently take your hands behind you and see if you can take the heels of the hands together. So whichever works for you, but if you can take the heels of the hands together, now you'll need to draw the shoulders back, press down towards the floor, and from here, take note how it feels for you in this position. So your body might have been almost facing that 45 degrees like your foot is facing, or 35 degrees. And then maybe you can draw the pelvis to face forward as much as it feels good. Don't force anything. So you want to turn that pelvis from its natural orientation to face forward, if it's possible, or as forward as is possible for you. The hands are drawn back, the shoulders are drawn back. And I'm going to ask you to keep that micro bend in the front right knee and hinging forward from the hips, not the waist. Hinge forward from the hips. First of all, I'm going to ask you please to draw up that femur bone, this big thigh bone, into the hip socket. So you might need to engage this left gluteal muscle. Okay, so here we are, 45 degrees, front leg a little bent. Draw up the left femur bone, that thigh bone, as if it's coming up into the socket. Maybe engage this gluteus, big buttock muscle here, okay? And then we're going to start to hinge forward. Take an inhale. Start to hinge forward and just come to a flat back. Keep the hands on the back so you can feel them there. Look down at your toes. Remember, you don't have this front knee locked out. It's a micro bend in that front knee. And then look down at the floor, reach up through the back of your neck. So your crown of head is shooting forward, but you're not dumping into the neck like this. Okay, so reach up through the back of the neck, reach the hands directly behind you. You are still pulling into that left buttock muscle, the gluteus muscle is engaged. And you're lengthening through the whole of the spine, the hands trying to reach backwards, the crown of the head reaching forward. Now think about what is happening here in this right hamstring. So that is actually what we are stretching, is that right hamstring. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, press into the front right foot. Exhale, press back up. Open up the shoulders, look up at the ceiling, relax in the legs, open up the chest, look up at the ceiling, elongate in the whole abdominal region, drawing all the way up. And then looking forward, come back to center, relax the hands. So we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to draw all the way down, trying to get the chest onto the thigh. Okay. So let's engage this left femur again. So pull it up Engage the buttock. Draw the hands around to the back. Micro bend in the right front knee. Draw the shoulders back. Open up the chest. Close the rib cage down in the front. And then start to inhale. Exhale as you go and drawing forward from the hips. So it's the hips, the lumbar spine, the neck, the head. Keep going. Keep the hands on the back. Don't lift up the hands. Keep the hands there. And maybe the chest is coming all the way onto the top of the thigh of the right leg. And let the head be heavy. So you're still engaging, and notice that deeper stretch through the hamstrings on the right hand side. 3 more breaths here. Press through the fingertips, but keeping the hands and the arms on the back. So it's engaging with the back on the, almost like the sacral bones, the pelvic bones on the back side. Last breath. As you inhale, you're going to exhale, press into that front foot, exhale up, draw all the way up, head, neck, lumbar spine. Exhale it out. Release the hands. Nice. Shake it out. Turn to the front. Bring your legs rather hip width apart. And I'm looking for my block. Let's take the block and place it between, just above the knees on the narrow side of the block. Look down at your feet. I'm going to go this way so you can see me. And then we're going to inhale and sit down into that chair pose, placing the weight in the back of the heels. And hold it here for 3, for 2, for 1. And then start to come up all the way. Maybe you can go up onto the toes. Keep your block there. Squeeze the block. Don't let it fall out. Maybe the hands can reach all the way up. Can you see? We are up on the toes. And we're going all the way up to sky with the fingertips. Squeezing the block. Exhale down, release the heels down to the mat. Go back with the hands, keep the hands there. The palms are looking at each other. Let the weight rock back into the heels. Squeeze the block with the thighs. Palms face each other. For 3. For 2, for 1. I'm going to sweep the hands forward, keep the block there, go up onto the toes, rise up from the heels come up off the mat, arms go all the way, pull the biceps so they are level with the ears, reach up through that abdominals. Reach everything to the sky. Exhale, heels come slowly and softly down, controlled. Keep in your chair pose. Weight goes to the heels. Maybe the hands can come a little higher. Or the arms. Use the breath. Last breath. Let the arms come all the way down. Sweep back. Palms face each other. Sink a little deeper into your chair pose. Come out of your chair pose. Take your block to the side. And come out and relax. So before we go on to that forward folding onto the left hand side, let's all inhale with the feet together. Inhale, rise, the hands are together, and then both hands, the index fingers are pointing to the sky. I'm sorry you can't see that on my video, but we're going to take with the feet together, squeeze everything together, the thighs, the knees, the feet, reaching up tall, and then exhale over to the left hand side for that side lateral. Now if you gently pull through both arms, so your left arm is not weak, like if you don't pull both hands, the left arm will feel weaker than the right. You feel like you're pulling everything with the right. So if you engage both hands, the pulling on the left and right should be equal. Inhale, come back to center. Let's go over to the other side. Again, you need to press up to the whole of the sky and then exhale over to the right hand side, drawing both arms equally with as amount of force as you can, or strength should we say. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release both arms down. Step the feet hip width apart. We're going over to the left hand side one more time. We're going to inhale. And this time you're going to exhale your left hand down to the side of the body. And then exhale as you keep going over with the right hand above the head. And just feel the difference now in that side lateral. Oh, I'm going to just stop doing that with my shoulder injury. If you have a shoulder injury, be mindful. But notice what is happening in this right side body here with that beautiful stretch going all the way down, reaching down towards the knee if that's possible for you. Inhale, come back up. So any injuries you need to be mindful of, any practice, any exercise program that you're doing, it's inhale and rise. Exhale that right hand down to the side of the body. Keep exhaling as much as you can and come over to that side lateral, keeping the body in the one plane. So be mindful that you are not leaning forward, that you have come all the way over, staying in that same plane, that same line of body, over to get that beautiful stretch to the left hand side. Inhale. Exhale, release that left hand down. Let's shake that out. Okay. And coming back to center now, we're going to step that left leg forward. So I'm going to go this way so you can see me. Left leg forward, right leg steps back. And about that 35 degree in your back right leg. Micro bend in the front left. And then awareness of where that body is in space at this time. So naturally, it would probably be at that 45 degrees. So that's where I'm asking you to see if you can rotate in the hips. And as you do that, notice what happens with the femur of this right leg. As you rotate around, you will feel the femur engage, the thigh bone engage in the right thigh. And then suck it up as if you're drawing it all the way up into that hip socket. Engage that right gluteus muscle. Sweep the hands around behind you. See if you can get the heels to meet together. Draw those shoulder blades back so your glute is still engaged, your thigh muscle is still being pulled up. And then we're going to hinge forward from the hip on an exhale. Inhale. Start to exhale, hinge forward from the hip and just come to that flat back position. Remember, reaching up through the back of the neck to bring length into the back of the neck. Still drawing up on that right femur bone, thigh bone, up into the hip socket. And then feeling that nice hamstring stretch on the left-hand side. So feel what that feels like for you at the moment. For some people, this is very intense. Take an inhale, pressing through that left foot or the mounds of the toes, and then gently draw yourself back up on that exhale. Take a moment, relax the thigh muscle, relax the glute, open up the chest, look up to the ceiling. Take some gentle breaths and a little bit of time here. Focus the mind into where you are going in your next movement, which will be trying to bring the chest down onto the thigh of that left leg. So as we inhale, draw up the right thigh bone, engage the right glute, so the buttock muscle. Start to bend a little micro bend in this front left knee, and then hinge forward from the hips. Go long with the body. Draw in navel to spine. Create space there. Exhale all the way down as much as you can. Leave the arms to rest on the back. Feel the engagement and the lengthening through the hamstring of the left side, left back of the leg. Focus your attention on the hamstring that is lengthening on the left side of the body. 3 more breaths. Notice if you've let go of the thigh bone on the right. 3 breaths. Start to engage the core. Inhale. Exhale, press through the front foot, that left leg. Exhale, draw yourself all the way up. Exhale, release the hands, come forward. Relax. Taking the feet wide apart, as wide as is comfortable for you. Let the feet be parallel with your mat. Maybe you might like to take your block. Place it in front of you. Take the hands onto the hips. So feel the hips where that is for you. And then know that that is where you are hinging from. You're going to lift up nice and tall. And start to press the pelvis like it's going to the back of the room as you draw yourself forward. Soften the knees, don't lock out the knees. Soft, and then if you like, you can just stay here and place the hands on the block. Maybe that is enough for you. Maybe you want to continue down. Maybe you can place your forehead on the block. Let's look at our arms and see that they are in number 11 arms. So both elbows are facing directly back as much as is possible. So try not to let the elbows splay out here. You want to keep them in number 11 arms, so both elbows are facing backwards. And maybe just resting here and feeling into the backs of both hamstrings this time, simultaneously, that beautiful stretch. And imagine those hamstrings that are being lengthened all the way from the buttocks or close to the buttocks, all the way down into the area of the knees. Maybe soften the knees a little more. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale it out. Relax a little more. Maybe you can find you can take your block away and go a little deeper. Maybe come up now into flat back. Place your hands on your hips. Engage your core. Exhale as you draw yourself all the way up to standing. So heel, toe, your feet back into center. Take your block and then place it one more time into the middle of the thighs. Squeeze it there as we go again. One more round for our chair pose. So we're going to sweep the hands. Make the hands, the palms face each other. Maybe you can draw the hands up closer to the biceps, closer to the ears. Set the weight back into the heels. You might even like to lift the toes. Exhale and sweep those palms of the hands down, backwards, palms face. As you inhale and exhale, and come all the way up, the heels rise off the mat. Reach for the sky. Exhale, bring hands to heart center, drop your heels down, release your block, and come back to the mat. So just taking a moment to understand what you were just practicing here. And it's a being able to grow more flexibility into the spine and being very aware of where your body was moving to. So we don't need to have these huge, big, expansive movements to focus on the little subtle movements as well that we need to create in order for us to get into those bigger movements. So I hope you enjoyed some flexibility, some forward folding, some hip circles, and some side lateral movements, which you could do every morning just as perhaps a bit of a warm-up before you go into a full asana practice, or that might have been enough for you. And you can also end this practice off in child's pose, like we did when we started, if you so wish. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you again. I hope you have a great day.